For Baroness, we play in a variety of tunings. With the EXL 125s, I'm just constantly tuning and it just can handle it. Thick enough to handle the low tunings, but like having that like light string gauge comfortability. Yeah, it's been the go-to.
Hey Joey, how you doing?
Very well, how are you?
Good, man. Chris Kies, forward Premier Guitar, hanging out at the Ascend Amphitheater in Nashville, Tennessee with King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. How you doing, Derek?
I'm very good.
Man.
Just got some shorts on, just having some nice southern heat. It feels good.
Yeah, I'm so ignorant to the weather patterns in Australia. Does it get hot like this down here?
It does get very hot in Australia. We're from Melbourne, which is the very south of the country.
Okay.
In summer, it's like a lot drier than like your Tennessee heat.
Yeah.
But
humidity here.
Well over like 100. Like oof. I mean, in fact, we're talking Celsius, but it gets very hot.
Damn. Well, you're accustomed to it, but the humidity.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, we welcome you to Tennessee.
Grazie.
And I'm very glad to start off with this interesting instrument because people might not know that you guys dabble in the microtonal world. Mm-hmm. So tell me all about this instrument.
This is my dickhead, official one of one. No, it's a Richmond Dorchester, which I think is made by Godin.
Yeah.
Which I picked up like years ago when we first kind of like, actually before the microtonal Gizzard phase. This was just like, as we all did, just kind of like trying to find the guitar.
Yeah.
You know. And then anyway, like when we did the microtonal record, this was just the guitar that I had that like put the frets on, and yeah, so like all of our guitars have this like array of fretting in terms of the microtonal thing, interval, blah blah blah.
Can you explain that in layman's terms, or just like for dummies like me that don't know that type of thing?
Yeah, sure. And, like to be honest, yeah. No. So essentially, like a microtonal, like there's like, if you think about like equal temperament, which is like 12 notes within an octave.
Yep.
You on certain notes, just like at our discretion, you put another fret in between to halve the note, so it's essentially a quarter tone instead of a semitone.
Okay.
And then we've kind of developed, like the tuning that we have is like a C sharp, F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, B, and E.
It's kind of like a droning thing.
Yeah, so you can kind of like drone on like various strings, but I feel like the majority of the songs are in F sharp as the drone. And it's essentially like the scale we play, I think is kind of would be like a Dorian with like the two as microtonal, and then maybe the 6, I'm pretty sure, is microtonal.
Who in the band sent you guys down this path?
I guess Stu did. Like, we're all fans of kind of, like Turkish and Middle Eastern stuff. But Stu went to Istanbul like 10 years ago or something on a holiday, and then brought like I can't remember what the instrument was, but it was like a stringed like Turkish kind of guitar type lute, I guess.
Okay.
And then essentially like he just was like, fuck, I'm just gonna like do it myself, and then just like came up with the fret array, and then the tuning I think might be kind of like a semi-ubiquitous tuning, but I feel like he just might have been like, this is what we're doing. So we just kind of like did it ourselves, hey? And then just,
That's what's so awesome about you guys as a band. There's no limits to what you're willing to try or do.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's on the table.
Everything's on the table, for good or for bad.
Yeah, no bad ideas left untouched.
No, for sure. Definitely.
Well, so you play this just specific to that material from that record?
For sure. Yeah, we've got a couple of microtonal records now. But yeah, they're pretty much like you can only do the microtonal thing with them. And like, yeah, I'd say like the vast majority are that scale I was talking about before, but like a couple of the songs you put a capo on the first fret, and then essentially the notes are different. So like the microtonal notes now are like in a different array. If you think about like a mode.
Yeah, you're moving the nut.
You're moving the nut, so it's up. So yeah, it's good. I feel like we've just, you know, the songs have been kicking around for so long, and we've been playing for so long, and I feel like in a way they're really cool, and it's like it's a really different thing to do, but they also are kind of like slightly binary because you kind of can't like move out of them.
Yeah.
So we'll either get some more shit on the go or just like give them a bit of a break. We'll see.
Was the learning curve coming from a standard kind of?
Learning curve was like, look, it was a little bit, but like once you kind of just like worked out, I guess, like what the scale was and like the pattern, and that kind of became muscle memory. Like,
yeah.
And then your playing starts to kind of adjust in that respect as well, like doing all the like trill shit. And like I kind of, when I was like a teenager, I loved like just like, I don't know, like that kind of cheesy like R&B folk like stuff with like open tunings. So to me, it was kind of like slightly familiar territory as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like for a little while, Cook, who's the other guitarist in the band, he had the same thing, but he had it tuned to standard, so he would have played it completely differently, which kind of works in the context, but it's like you kind of can't do the drone as easy.
Yeah.
You can't just fall back on like what's easy. Anyway.
Now, did you play this a lot, this guitar, before it became the dickhead microtonal instrument?
I feel like I did. Like, I reckon I would have done like maybe like your Mind Fuzz record on this, because we recorded a lot of that at Daptone in New York, in Brooklyn. And I remember I wrote that was at Daptone. So I feel like there was a couple of years when this was like maybe my primary guitar, or one of my guitars.
Yeah.
But it's been since maybe 2017. I've been running it as a microtonal dickhead.
Did you hammer in the frets? Did you have like an actual luthier friend?
We had a luthier friend do
Okay.
it. The guy who built Stu's guitar for him, who you'll talk to him about.
Okay.
He did all that stuff. So yeah.
Well, cool. Let's maybe venture on to another, maybe a normal instrument,
yeah.
we'll say. Yeah, so Nashville's own Novo guitar.
Nashville's own Novo. Yeah, this is a little fresh addition to the...
Oh, you just got it?
Yeah, to the arsenal. No, I got this to the start of this tour.
Okay.
So I had it this is like an Idris model, which is pretty much like just an off-the-shelf build that they do, but like I kind of just got some custom stuff done. Couldn't tell you what I got, can't remember it, but just like fretting, like jumbo fret, blah blah blah, neck, but it's neck width and all that stuff. But all the pickups are like stock in terms of what the model is.
Okay.
But it's sick guitar.
Yeah, what do you dig about it now that you've spent some time with it on the road?
I love like having the. I grew up like before I was like in the band or in a band. I grew up like when I was fully learning guitar and obsessed with guitar as a teenager, like just with a Stratocaster, like a shitty Stratocaster.
Yeah.
So and since the band started, I haven't really had one. Like I maybe like for the first year I was playing my Strat that I had when I was a kid, and then like after a gig, like one of the boys' cars got broken into and they stole it. So I haven't had a Strat. Long story short, I just like love just having the ability to get like the Strat kind of style pickups.
Yeah.
Get those out of phase like Knopfler, like tone. And then I got a humbucker on the bridge just to fucking Angus Young that shit.
Yeah, I mean, you guys cover so much sonic ground and genre-wise, so it makes sense to have a guitar with a versatile setup like that.
For sure, and it's really I'm like noticing like my playing, like I can dial in on like, you know, if we're just kind of like meandering around like in a jam or something like that, and like jerry noodling or whatever the hell we're doing, which we do a lot. I like having like just kind of switching pickups to the out of phase. I can really just like dial in like a tone for a moment, I guess, which is really good. I'm enjoying it. I feel like I'm like becoming a better player kind of because of this guitar to a degree.
I know a lot of the energy of the band is what kind of fulfills the inspiration of everything, just your guys' brotherhood and everything.
Yeah.
But does gear ever play? Do you get inspired by, like, you allude to finding inspiration in those moments? Does gear ever send you guys in terms of like an idea, or?
I feel like it does. Like, I feel like
sounds?
less so to me as I've gotten older and maybe like a bit more mature about the whole thing, or the dust has settled. Like my pursuit of finding gear to like elicit some form of inspiration has like slowed down a bit. Like I'm heavily into like electronic gear collection, like synths and modular stuff.
Yeah, I saw that off camera here. Yeah.
So maybe that's replaced that. But I feel like for me, I like have found what I kind of like, and like I've just got a couple of things. And I love limitation because then it just makes me just, you know, it makes me just pull something out from somewhere that I don't know from, like at a time, and like that's kind of what I lean on for. Like I love just being like, oh fuck, and then just all of a sudden we're jamming and like just come up with a riff or whatever, a moment where it's good or can be shit and you move on. But like, you know, that's kind of what I'm into. So like gear, like I've got it pretty set, like dialed, but like, it's by no means like an extensive array.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll talk about this Flying V here.
Yeah.
And then we'll cruise through the rest of your setup.
So this is for, and I should say that my Novo is tuned to just E standard.
Okay.
So all songs in that's what I'm playing. So I'm playing this when we're doing the heavier tracks, which is tuned to C sharp standard.
Which Flying V is perfect for that.
It's perfect. It's great guitar.
I just love that you guys cover so much. Whether it's hip hop or heavy metal,
it's pretty funny.
It's all under the umbrella that is Gizzard.
The Gizz umbrella.
So tell me about, it's kind of a cool looking Flying V.
Yeah.
With the kind of like no paint job. It's
no
like a
paint
faded
job.
series, I think.
Yeah, it's a good faded series. I like just the natural wood, like the darker wood color, like really, really sexy. It's got the half moon inlay. I don't even want to zoom in on that shit. But Stu, I was once, just in search of a new guitar, and like I think we were about to record like Infest the Rat's Nest, which was the first kind of dip into the heavy metal world that we did. And he was in New York. You're in Brooklyn, and you whatever that famous, what's the guitar store there?
I think what it's called anymore.
Guitars, Stevens Guitar Land. Main Drag. And he just was like, I found a really sick guitar, I'll bring it. So Stu bought it home from New York, and then it's like an amazing guitar.
I brought it home in a soft case, and I carried it on the plane.
Yeah.
And I hid it as I walked on. I just like hid it under my shirt, and I just put it into the locker and shit at the top. Pretty sure you're not supposed to do that.
No, you're not.
And it survived.
And it survived. It's a really good guitar. Yeah, it's really good, really fast. The neck's nice and slim.
Can we hear some? Let's hear some tasty riffs.
Do like a
Ripper.
It's a ripper.
Now, if you want to switch to the Novos, and then maybe the Novo, I should say, and we can cruise through your amps and then your pedal board.
Hell yeah.
So you got 2 amps behind us here. How are you using those?
So, to be honest, like this is a relatively new setup for me, the Hiwatt thing. So this little guy here has an overdrive channel, which is what I have been using for the heavy songs.
Okay. This one.
And then this bigger guy is what I do for the clean stuff, which we're still kind of dialing in. I'm actually going to send the runner out to get me a compressor pedal because it's a little bit too dynamic.
Okay.
You get that real just like Knopfler-y shit.
Now, have you always had like a 2 amp setup with the clean and dirty, or is this kind of a relatively...
No, I haven't. So I've always kind of used like a Deluxe or DeVille kind of thing, and I just have one and then just literally use the channel switcher.
Okay.
So fucking basic, it's crazy. And then last tour, I had one DeVille, and then Gaspar, our like tech, got me this little Hiwatt guy, which actually was kind of taking cleaner duties.
Okay.
And now this tour, we've kind of mucked around with getting the bigger Hiwatt for the cleaner stuff. So it's cool, and I think it just works well with this guitar because you can kind of dial in and like it's so dynamic and so much more detail with something like that.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm sure with having the 2 amps set up kind of doing their own thing in their own territory, you can EQ them specific to that.
For sure, and it makes like life for our front of house Sam a lot easier, just because he can get more granular with like shit and like volume jumps and blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
kind of, so you know, from all accounts, like this setup is kind of working well. Yeah.
Well, take us through your kind of basic pedal board here. What
Sure.
you got?
This is our, I mean, that's irrelevant, that's our stage talk back. I kind of do like rotate the fuzz world a bit. I had a torn speaker that Stu has as well, which is kind of the classic like Gizzard fuzz sound. That broke, so I've got this Flatter-on fuzz, which I just literally found at our studio. Don't know how to where it came from. Blah,
Set
blah,
to
blah.
stun too, every dial.
Exactly, set to absolute stun by Electro Harmonics, which is good.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It might. It's kind of just like I just like how kind of like squashed and like reliable it is. You know, like you can get like really like esoteric fuzz pedals, like I guess like the Fuzz Factory or something like that, which is not to disparage the Fuzz Factory, like Cookie has one and it's great, but all that other stuff I don't really give a crap about, like all of the like squeaky, squelchy, blah blah blah, gatey stuff. So that's just the workhorse that I'm rolling with right now, and it's pretty chill. My delay is the Wampler Faux Analog Echo, which I've had for ages, which I love, which is just for all the Gizzard like squeal. All that interstitial delay, just to like, you know, it's very much a Stu thing, but like kind of transitioning between like parts of songs or like ends of songs is really good. Occasionally I'll just like, that's just a set and forget type thing. I'll just be always doing that shit. Occasionally for some songs, I'll just like pull back all the repeats and do a real short, like kind of snappy, like delay thing. But like, it's pretty much just does what you see. And then this is another new addition, the Sunset Dual Overdrive by Strymon, which is fucking very dope as well.
Yeah.
Which is like a nice clean boost when it's on the clean amp. It's just a nice kind of clean boost. And then if I want to dial in a little bit more like... So the dual overdrive nature of it's really handy just to kind of like do that stuff. And then I guess I just got my fucking wah, which is just the classic. I feel like this is the most used pedal that I kind of would have, and maybe Stu would say this, attest the same, but just the Gizzard like half cock like thing, and just like kind of seeking tone and seeking like a space within a song, you know, according to like how cocked the wah is really. Don't actually do too much waka 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 waka.
No shaft.
Just get the really mad, just kind of weird harmonic overtone, like breaking up type. And then
Master Echo up here?
This one? Yeah, so this is actually our vocal,
cool.
that goes into our vocals. So that's kind of like, I can't, the shit's there, but essentially that just, vocal goes into there, then out of that goes to front of house and does that shit. So it's just a kind of like, it's a very dark, like analog delay, but it's just a little bit of kind of like, little bit of color on for us. Sam, our front of house guy, doesn't really like having us set to too wet, like when we're on stage. He kind of likes doing that at the front, but yeah, it's chill. And then I just got a line selector here just to swap between the old, these bad boys.
Well, Joey, thank you so much. I know we're going to talk to Stu real quick, but I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you very much.
Hey y'all, I'm John Bohlinger with Premier Guitar. So our rig rundowns for a long time now have been sponsored by D'Addario. And I'm thrilled to be using the D'Addario Expand Pedalboard. I've got this little guy that fits in my gig bag, and like many of you, I'm changing pedals all the time. I love having a board that can shrink as I'm shrinking my board or expand as I'm expanding it. And that's why I love the Expand pedal board. Their patented telescoping technology lets me instantly change the size of my pedals playground. It also features a unique cable management system and comes fitted with loops of Velcro, keeping everything neat and easy to swap. The 2 Expand versions comes with either 1 or 2 rows, depending on your needs. So a big thanks to D'Addario. Now, let's get back to more rig rundowns.
Joined by Stu. Stu, how you doing?
Great, thanks. How are you?
Real good, man.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Nashville.
Yeah, love it here.
Got the Dolly Parton shirt.
Yes.
Playing the role.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Dolly. We love Dolly. Yep.
I love the design.
Yeah,
It's
cheers.
cool.
Yeah, my friend Dave made it, so
Good job, Dave.
yeah.
Tell me about this guitar. You told us off camera you have a love-hate relationship with it.
I do love and I hate this guitar. It is my favorite ever guitar.
Really?
Like easily. And I hope I can always play it, but it's just old. It's like
Yeah.
1966, temperamental.
Where did you get it?
I brought it in Australia. There actually is quite a lot of old Japanese guitars in Australia.
Makes sense.
So they are kind of floating around. I bought it a very long time ago. I want to say 2013 maybe,
Okay.
as a guess. And it's kind of has been my main. Well, I've done a few tours where I've dropped it and not taken it because it's like a pain in the ass,
Yeah.
basically. But for the most part, it has kind of been probably my most used guitar over that time.
What do you love about it? Let's start there.
It sounds like no other guitar I've ever found.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure it's the pickups. They're not normal. They're pretty microphonic.
Yeah.
And they're pretty noisy. They're single coils, obviously. But they just have a sound which I've never been able to find.
Yeah.
And I just know how to work it. You know, maybe if I had have played another guitar consistently for the last decade, I would feel the same way. I just know how to work this guitar.
What do you hate about it?
It's got like a 0 fret, which is kind of annoying. It's got these like, actually these rolling, they're like on a,
Yeah, let's hear it.
I don't know what you call that, but they're on like little rolling,
Yeah.
slippery, dippery kind of things, which they're pretty temperamental. They slip off the saddles pretty regularly, all that fun stuff. It's got, you know, the neck is a little bit twisted. It's hard to get the action right without getting fret buzz. The whole thing, man. The whole thing. It's like pretty cooked, but it just has a sound. It has a sound,
Let's
and
hear
I
it,
just love it.
Definitely has a single coil vibe.
Yeah,
It has
exactly.
Its own, like, trademark.
Exactly, and like, you know, I am not like the greatest guitarist in the world, but I know how to play and work this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What drew you to? Was it the shape?
I think I was just kind of, at the time, I think it was simpler than that. I was just looking for something a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And something just a bit different and just something that looked a bit experimental. It wasn't very expensive.
Yeah.
I was kind of just like, cool, this kind of feels like it's got my name on it. Let's go, you know? But it was just a serendipitous thing. Like I have brought guitars under that pretense before
Yeah.
and sold them. You know, I just
Because
feel
you
like,
didn't connect.
didn't connect with it. Whereas this one was like, yeah, get this thing, oh cool. And it's sick. It's like
Yeah.
it just feels like an extension of my body.
You've had some unusual guitar choices, as
Yeah.
I've seen on, like, you know, in our publication, our Fine Premier Guitar magazine and other magazines. You've been photographed like a Holy Explorer.
Yeah, I love that guitar too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So are you visually drawn to a guitar and then try to bond with it sonically, or is it just every interaction with a guitar is different?
Look, like in a lot of ways, I'm actually not really picky with guitars.
Uh-huh.
Like, for instance, this guitar has a very thin neck. This guitar has a very fat neck.
Yeah.
And I kind of dig that. I kind of like being able to pick up a guitar and being like, I don't know what's going to happen out of this thing.
Yeah.
That's part of why I like this, because it is a little bit unpredictable. And whenever I've bought guitars, I've maybe somewhat foolishly always been someone who's just kind of impulse bought something.
Okay.
It's just off a vibe.
Yeah.
And the Holy Explorer was that too. I think I bought it like on Reverb and it came from Malaysia or something. Like I was like, well, that's a weird ass guitar, let's buy that.
Yeah.
It was when we were first starting to kind of make some heavy metal, and I wanted an Explorer because it just felt right. And I just kind of wanted to be, we're doing some studio stuff. It was before we toured any of the heavy metal stuff that we do. And I was like, okay, that's the guitar that we're going to use for the record.
Yeah.
Whatever it sounds like is what the album's going to sound like. Like, let's go. So the album was mostly Joe and Cavs, our drummer, and I, just the three of us kind of piecing that all together. And the album is like Joe and I just swapping around on the Holy Explorer and bass. So like most of the guitar on the album is that guitar. And I have been touring with it till pretty recently. It's still in pretty good shape, but there is an elevator story. I don't know if you know that with the
No.
Holy Explorer.
Tell me.
It's we played a show in Barcelona.
Okay.
And it was kind of like a very old venue with one of those mechanical lifts that you use like a chain to bring up. And it was like a lift where you put all of the gear, like all the drums, all the amps, like everything on this one huge kind of platform, and then they get like 6 large men to pull the chain, and it goes up a few levels.
There's an old venue in town here that used to have that cannery.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Continue.
So we had the Holy Explorer, Joe's Flying V.
Okay.
And not that one, but one of Luke's basses. In we call them like a guitar coffin, but it's like a triple case, like a case. So when it went open, it was like in a case and everything. And they're pulling the lift up, and we were actually at the top. We were kind of just ready to collect them at the top. They're pulling the lift up, it's making this big chain sound, and then suddenly we just heard a crack like an explosion. And what had happened was the guitar case, because it was the tallest thing in the lift, had gotten stuck on the lip of the floor above. And I'm not sure how these things work or whether they just pulled them really hard or something, but it crushed all 3 guitars.
Wow.
Yeah, all 3 of them, all 3 necks snapped in half. Really bad. Like my truss rod in from the Explorer was like L-shaped. It was like doink, like that. It was crazy. It was crazy. So that was very literally shattering.
Yeah.
And we bought, like, Joe and I went to the guitar store. Was only one open on a Sunday. I think they opened for us actually on a Sunday.
Nice.
And we just bought like guitars so we could just make the show happen. But anyway, our friend Rick, who's our kind of main luthier back in Melbourne these days, he rebuilt my neck. He was able to put Joe's headstock back on because it wasn't quite as bad. But my neck they had to build from complete scratch, new truss rod, new whole thing. So the Holy Explorer is now quite a Frankenstein thing.
Yeah, it's had a hell of a life.
Yeah. And it cost a fair bit to do that as well, but I was like, I love this guitar, I can't because there was an option to just throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, what some people would have done.
No.
But I didn't do that.
You did the right thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What tuning does this live on?
This lives in standard.
Okay.
Yeah, the Holy Explorer lives in C# standard, as does this one at the moment. This is kind of like doing what the Holy Explorer has been doing, I guess, this one. But maybe we're going off the rails there.
But maybe, unless you want to continue about this one.
No, yeah, we can change it up.
Yeah,
let's change it up.
Let's go to the SG.
Yeah, so SG is kind of something I've gotten more recently, maybe a year or 18 months or so ago. It's cool. I always wanted something with the C# kind of standard stuff we're doing. There's a lot of more high gain stuff.
Yeah.
This thing can't handle that much high gain. It just sounds like white noise. So I wanted something with a humbucker. So I got a mini one in there, but this actually came stock with 3 singles.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's like maybe like 2007 or something. It's not super old, but it was like a bit of a Gibson limited edition off the shelf thing.
Yeah. It's like for Nashville, it'd be like having a Telecaster. Everyone has a Telecaster in Nashville because you can't get into the city without one. It's like, I assume in Australia, everyone has to have an SG.
It is. There is a lot of SGs in Australia. Exactly, and we love Angus. We do love Angus.
Well, let's hear this sucker.
But yeah, so this thing I'm usually kind of doing, well, maybe not always, but if I'm hitting the kind of more higher gain stuff, it's kind of more like, and then it kind of cleans up with the, I go like more of the clean channel. I'm probably more likely to hit one of the singles. It's actually got like a 6-way selector, so it's got all the different, it's got all the combos. But I'm mostly hitting just that or just that. That's kind of more of a me sound.
Okay.
And I can't really be bothered with like all the combinations.
Is that where the tapes are, so you know where home base is? Kind of.
Well, I know where home base is on that one because it goes all the way there. But this one flicks past it, which I think is it's going to split that one.
Okay.
But I kind of just like it as is, and I put that tape there so I know where it is. I should just rewire it so that's that one and that's split or something. I don't know, but yeah.
No, you gotta have some chaos in the moment.
That's it. But yeah, this guitar rules. It's another one that kind of surprised me. I've always found with the C# tuning, the strings are very floppy. These are like 12s, I think, with a wound G. That's kind of trying to combat that a little bit, but I've always found it hard to find a clean tone with such floppy strings.
Yeah.
It's quite a hard combo. And then also with the single coil as well, and just trying to find that balance. But this guitar handles it better than, the Explorer, the Holy Explorer.
Especially with the shorter scale too.
Right. The Holy Explorer sounds very dope for the metal stuff. And I've got like a P90-ish thing in here now on that. and it's pretty sweet, but this is cooler.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what it is, but you know, I'm not a pickup expert.
What do you got on the Yamaha? 12s too, or no?
Yamahas, I have 11s.
Okay.
This is 12s with a wound G. That's like a unwound G.
Okay.
The wound G seems to work a little. It's a bit more stable with the tuning, I think.
All right. Well,
That's what I've found anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's all relative.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the last guitar.
Yeah,
that
sure.
I'm sure people are familiar with.
So this is the Flying Microtonal Banana, or Banana, as you say. And it's
So this started, I imagine, the adventure of.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So story goes, we kind of got like interested in microtonal music kind of first. And it was probably through just listening to like Turkish psych and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also went to Turkey on a vacation, came home with a Bohlinger, which is like a fretted thing, and was kind of fooling around with that. And I was like, oh yeah, it's got all these extra frets. That's why it sounds so cool. It's kind of hitting all those notes in between the notes. It's kind of blown my mind. And I think at one point there was an idea to incorporate the Bohlinger into some Gizzard music.
Yeah.
But it's an acoustic instrument at the end of the day. It's got a pickup in it, the one I've got or whatever. But we're a pretty loud band, and
Yeah.
so sort of
Hard to keep up.
the logical thing to do was to create like an electric guitar that kind of can emulate some of those sounds. And just had a very serendipitous moment where Zach Eccles, who's like a Melbourne guitar maker,
Okay.
hit me up. Never met him before, and he said, "Hey, would you ever be interested in me building a guitar for you?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, that's so."
boogie, yeah.
I'm into like microtonal music, man. You know, do something like that. And he's like, "All right, sweet." So we came up with this.
Wow.
And so this was built by Zach, and he did an amazing job. And it's that's it says it on the back. It's 2015. 2015.
Who came up with the body design?
We kind of shot like some references at each other, and I think Zach sort of ended up with this design. I kind of was saying what I was sort of into at the time, and I mean, we ended up naming it the Flying Microtonal Banana for like kind of obvious reasons, really. So you know, it's got a flying V-ish type of shape. It's banana coloured. it's microtonal, so everyone thinks it's a kooky name, but it's actually just like
It's practical.
it's a practical name. Yeah.
Can we hear it?
Yeah, so it's we're kind of tuning it. Let's clean this up a bit. Kind of like we've got an open-ish tuning kind of thing going on here, where it's like a F sharp sort of open thing, and these ones are they're kind of where makes sense to us.
So was the fret placement like trial and error?
The fret placement was copying the Bohlinger.
Okay.
It was it was like,
roadmap.
well, with the Bohlinger you can adjust frets. They're actually kind of on, they're movable frets. Like a sitar and a lot of instruments have that, I suppose. But I needed something that was fixed.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we needed to kind of commit to that. And so there's a certain, I guess, like kind of scale that the Bohlinger that I bought was in. It just was in.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is rad. I like this. This is cool. So we kind of emulated that. We also, I mean, we simplified it in a lot of ways. Like Turkish music is very nuanced, and you wouldn't always have a fret right in between. I guess 50 cents is what you would say, or 24 tones an octave, I guess. You wouldn't do that in Turkish music, but we wanted to do that so we could play with each other. So we came up with like a fret arrangement that made sense for everybody. And Joe's guitar is fretted identically to mine.
Okay.
Cook and Lucas, they don't play in the open tuning, so they have a different fret arrangement, which allows them to hit the same notes in standard tuning.
Okay.
So we can kind of play different stuff to each other too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like definitely having a conversation.
We can have a conversation with each other. It's nice. But yeah, I love this guitar. I feel ultra inspired by it all the time. We haven't made new microtonal music in a bit. We're probably due to at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll revisit.
Yeah, we'll get there. It's like we did the first record. Yeah, I guess that came out in 2017. We recorded it in 2016, and then we did like a kind of back-to-back two more in maybe it was 21 and 22. And then by the time we'd got up to that, it was like we need to revisit this thing. You know, like we're ready to hit that again, and maybe in a couple more years we'll be like, okay, let's do that again. Let's make another record of microtonal music. But
yeah, you guys don't get bored.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Music's an ocean, I suppose.
Yeah. Swim around until you hit that plastic, the floating plastic.
Exactly.
Mob.
Yeah.
Well, I know that we're up against time,
No,
Stu,
no
but
worries.
cruise through your pedal board quick.
Oh yeah. So tuner. Everyone knows about that.
Yeah, gotta have it.
You gotta have it. This is a very, very stock delay pedal. I'm very happy with any digital delay. People might be surprised about that, but I dig a digital delay, and I think it's because I always put it first in my chain, so it gets pretty like screwed up by everything else happening after it anyway.
Yeah.
That's just doing its thing. That's doing more of that type of stuff. This is a Devi Ever pedal. I think Joe was talking about it before. The Torn speaker is the one that I've always had.
Yeah.
This isn't that, but it's quite similar. But it does the same kind of trick of of just 10 out of 10. It does one thing.
If it's on or off. You know.
Exactly. Which I do dig that about that pedal. Again, kind of going back to the philosophy of just keeping things real simple. I don't want to have a million settings. I want to have like 4 things.
Yeah.
And then the combination of the things is the interesting part, and then just let the fingers play.
Yeah.
I'm playing, I don't know, 70% of the set with no pedals on.
Really?
These days.
Yeah.
So it's mostly actually, it's all in the amp. It's all in the amp, it's all in the guitar, all in the fingers. It's kind of the philosophy, but yeah, wah pedal. This is one of those Fender wahs at the moment. I tried a lot of different wahs. I dig it. I actually am usually more partial to a crybaby.
Okay.
But I keep on breaking the buttons. I think I stand on them too hard. It's like this one. This one doesn't seem to break. So Gaspar's got a guitar tech over here. He's got about 6-7 backup wahs over there. I've been using the Jam Pedals wah, which is like the colourful, looks like a tie-dye.
Yeah.
That one's quite cool, but I already broke the button. It sounds actually really sick and really different to the Crybaby in a cool way.
Yeah.
So I was having a lot of fun with that. And then this is, it's just a clean boost.
Okay.
Which I very much dig too. And I'm using this actually a lot now.
Just to hit the amp a little harder.
And just hitting the amp a lot harder. And then that actually all this other stuff is not guitar. So my guitar is just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 amp.
Yep.
But yeah, this is what my vocals run through. This was made by Earthquaker. They kind of like, we've been just chatting to them about making a vocal pedal thing for a little bit. This is version 2. It might turn into something cool one day. I'm not really sure, just kind of working it.
Yeah.
But it's a overdrive and echo, but I wanted to get the echo gated, so it's only echoing when I'm singing loudly. When I sing quietly, it doesn't echo anything. It also means that having a microphone that's pointing at a drum kit doesn't echo the drum kit in the back of the, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
the ambient noise of the stage doesn't get echoed. Only my voice gets echoed.
It's a thin line.
Which was fun thing to try and figure out how to do. I was using 6 or 7 pedals with a loop. What's it called? What the thing's called? I don't know. Anyway.
A switcher.
Yeah, exactly. To kind of do all that stuff in the past.
Damn.
This is a clock.
Yeah.
It's just a clock.
It caught my attention first, and I thought
It's
it was
a
something
clock.
more. Nope, just a clock.
VVCO is the brand. It is like, honestly, I love having a clock on stage because we're often up against hard curfews, and so I can kind of.
I don't want to interrupt you, Stu, but like, we gotta go. We need
Okay.
a sound check.
Okay, we need a sound check. All right, let's do like 2 more minutes, 3 minutes. Thanks, Jess. Thanks, Jess. Yeah, this is like clock straight up. Just a clock.
Yeah, it's funny because like I thought it was something more
Yeah.
diabolical. No.
No, it's not. It looks great.
Looks
and
straight
I wanted
out
a
of
clock
the DeLorean.
I wanted a clock that could just plug into a 9-volt. So that's the thing. And then all this other stuff is for vocals. This is how I talk to the crew. Just stamp on that, and it won't go out front of house. This is like basically a patch bay.
Okay.
And there's a little slide under here, which I'm sometimes hitting. And then
Brass.
and then my amp is
Fender, DeVille, baby.
yeah. I want something I can go to a guitar store and just get. Like I want something that's just like not weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got enough weird going on here.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of been the philosophy with amps. I'm currently using an attenuator and just running it clean.
Okay.
I'm just running it at 12 or 10 or 9 or whatever, and between pretty much every song, I'm adjusting the amp. So
Oh, really?
all the kind of gain staging and all of the level of drive and everything is all amp.
All Stu.
All amp, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much just the far left knob, just volume. That's it. That's
Damn.
it. 12's pretty crunchy. 6 is kind of pretty clean. Somewhere in between is like usually where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's simple as that.
Well, Stu, thank you so much. I know we're bumping into sound check, but I
Love
appreciate
it.
you.
Thank you. Cheers. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks for
you,
having
guys.
us. Woo.
The reason we only stock D'Addario strings is because D'Addario strings are perfect.
When people come in here, they think that we get them for free or something like that, but we don't. We have no other reason except for dependability and tone.